Suprabhat. I am Dr. Vaidehi Pandya from Law College, Himmatnagar, Gujarat. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you in today's National Webinar 2021 on Human Rights and Torture in Police Custody. I would like to welcome our speaker for today, Honorable Justice Ravi Tripathi Sir, Chairperson, Gujarat State Human Rights Commission. Sir, I would like to express my gratitude for accepting our invitation and taking time out of your busy schedule to share your knowledge and motivate us. Let us start our program with a prayer by our student Komal Patel.
Narayana Purushottama Guru Tu Sita Buddha Tu Skanda Vinayaka Savita Pavakatu Brahma Majtu Yavashakti Tu Ishu Pita Prabhu Tu Rudra Vishnu Tu Rama Krishna Tu Mahimata Tu Vasudeva Govishwarupa Tu Chidananda Hari Tu Advitiya Tu Akala Nirbhaya Atmalinga Shiva Tu Om Tat Sat Sri Narayana Tu Purushottama Guru Tu.
Thank you, Komal, for the beautiful prayer. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Binal Patel, in charge principal of the college, for welcome speech.
Good morning, all of you. On behalf of Himmatnagar Keravadi Mandal, Law College, Himmatnagar, I would heartily welcome Honorable Justice Ravi Tripathi sir. I want to also welcome principals, faculties, and students of Law Colleges of Gujarat, researchers, and advocates for attending our webinar. I would, on behalf of our college, like to extend my gratitude toward our speaker, Justice Ravi Tripathi sir, for accepting our invitation and for his kind support. I feel honored to welcome President and Secretary of the Himmatnagar Kelavadi Mandal and my colleagues for their support in this webinar. I am sure that you will feel enriched with knowledge after completion of this webinar. As we all know that human rights are rights we have simply because we exist as human beings. These universal rights are inherent to us all, regardless of nationality, sex, national or ethnic origin, colors, religion, language, or any other status. I am also interested in this subject as I have carried out my PhD on the subject. Lastly, Nelson Mandela says that to deny people their human rights is to change their very humanity. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Binal Ben. Before we start our session, I would like to highlight some instructions. First, we will have the speech by our keynote speaker for 45 minutes. I would like to highlight that in case of any internet connectivity issue, please be patient and stay on the webinar link while we get back to you. Last and most important, all of you who attend the webinar will receive a certificate of participation. Please fill the feedback form from the link given in the chat box and submit it to receive your certificate. As you all aware, the topic for today's webinar is human rights and torture in police custody. Human rights are the basic rights and freedom that belong to every person in the world from birth until death. Human rights include the right to life and liberty, freedom of option and expression, the right to work and education, freedom from slavery and torture, and many more such rights. Custodial torture is a worldwide nuisance and is very common these days. This is one of the worst forms of human rights violation and has come a very serious and alerting forms of human rights violation and has become a very serious and alerting problem in developing countries such as India. Even in developed countries like USA, the recent police torture on a black citizen publicly is one such incident which led to the initiation of the world famous Black Lives Matter movement. India does not have a dedicated law on torture in public custody. Alternatively, there are certain penal provisions and procedural safeguards provided in the Indian Penal Code and in the CRPC. Being lawyers, academicians, researchers, and law students, it is very essential for all of us to know and understand in what ways can human rights be violated during police custody and what are the recommendations, measures, and judicial procedures laid out by human rights commissions as well as other legal bodies. Today, it is our privilege that we have a highly knowledgeable and experienced speaker on this topic. It is very pleasure to introduce Honorable Justice Ravi Tripathi sir. He is the chairperson of Gujarat State Human Rights Commission. Previously, he has served as the judge, High Court of Gujarat. He is a member of 21st Law Commission of India. He has practiced in civil, criminal, constitutional, and labor matters with a specialization in service-related legal matters. He is also involved as a faculty in the law college and in law department of the university and has served as a member and advisor in various legal statutory bodies and councils. So, without any further delay, I would to hand over the session to Honorable Justice Ravi Tripathi sir. Sir, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Bharat Mata Ki Jai. I am really thankful to Himmatnagar Kelavani Mandal and Law College Himmatnagar for giving me this opportunity to share my views on a very important topic, that is human rights and torture in police custody. Friends, somebody has very rightly said that torture in police custody is worse than the terrorism. One will be surprised to note the figures published by an NGO which says that during the period of 2001 to 2010, there were total 14,231 deaths in custody. Friends, 14,231 deaths. during a period of 10 years may not be that impressive to you. But when you work out, it comes more than 4 persons per day. So when our one day is over, 4 persons have lost their life in custody. Normally, there is a perennial debate that if the wrongdoers do not restrain themselves or keep themselves away from causing all sorts of disturbances, why should law agencies be very restrained from violating or acting in a manner which amounts to violation of human rights? If you remember, you also must have read number of articles about the treatment which was given to Kasab when he was in custody. He was given all sorts of facilities which deserve to be given to a human being. Friends, that is the basic difference between a law agency and outlaw people like terrorists and other antisocial elements, those who are there to disturb the public peace. Just now, in introduction, the speaker very rightly said that human rights are from birth to death. It is very rightly said that one gets human rights the moment he enters the mother's womb, and those rights continue with him till he enters the tomb or the grave. Such a vast is the scope of the human rights. Friends, human rights in very frequently violated when a person is in police custody. A person in custody is in a most helpless condition. And at that time, it is very easy for anybody to violate his human rights. And that is why possibly this is one subject which has remained a matter of concern to everyone all over the world. And that is why even the United Nations has taken note of it and has said that there should be a common understanding between the states to avoid this torture in police custody. And therefore, there was a convention against torture, and mind the other word, and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. This was done in the year 1984. The reason is that any civilized society, until it is able to control and until it is able to restrain the torture in police custody, its meaningful existence will not be possible. And that is why when this convention was undertaken, they tried to define torture. And the definition reads as under. Torture means any act by which severe pain or suffering, whether physical or mental, is intentionally inflicted on a person for such purposes as obtaining from him or a third person information or a confession, punishing him for an act he or a third person has committed or is suspected of having committed, or intimidating or coercing him or a third person for any reason based on discrimination of any kind, when such pain or suffering is inflicted by or at the instigation of or with the consent or acquiescence of a public official or other person acting in an official capacity. Such a vast right to be given is the definition of the term torture. One may have a question at this juncture whether the punishments which are given according to law, whether they will also form a part of torture. And the answer is given in the definition itself, which is accepted in the convention. It says that it does not include pain or suffering arising only from inherent in or incidental to lawful sanctions. So friends, this is very important that when on one hand there is a definition of torture, but lawful acts or acts which are done with lawful sanction are kept outside the purview of that. There is Inter-American Convention to Prevent and Punish Torture, that was in 1975. And there is a very important phrase, a paragraph, which says like this: torture shall be understood to be any act intentionally performed whereby physical or mental pain or suffering is inflicted on a person for purposes of criminal investigation, as a means of intimidation, as personal punishment, as a preventive measure, as a penalty, or for another purpose. Torture shall also be understood to be the use of methods upon a person intended to obliterate the personality of the victim or to diminish his physical or mental capacities, even if they do not cause physical pain or mental anguish. Friends, so far as India is concerned, there is a bill pending which is of the year 2010. Its title is the Prevention of Torture Bill 2010. Even in this bill, torture is defined, but then its definition is little different than the definition of the torture in 1984 and 1975 documents. In 2010 bill, the torture is trying to be defined by saying whoever being a public servant or being abated by a public servant or with the consent or acquiescence of a public servant intentionally does any act for the purposes to obtain from him or a third person such information or a confession which causes grievous hurt to any person or danger to life, limb, or health is mental or physical, any of them, of any person is said to inflict torture. Again, there is a saving clause here which says that provided that nothing contained in this section shall apply to any pain, hurt, or danger as aforementioned caused by any act which is inflicted in accordance with any procedure established by law or justified by law. Friends, if you have read something about the Human Rights Commission itself, you must have seen that Human Rights Commission's jurisdiction is in the matters of violations of human rights by public servant. If it is a matter of two individuals, it does not directly come under the purview of the Human Rights Commission, because for that the remedy is to approach the court of law. If it is civil in nature, in civil court; if it is criminal in nature, in criminal court, by filing appropriate proceedings. But friends, so far as torture is concerned, and especially in the police custody it is concerned, it is considered to be one of the most heinous crime. It is considered to be most heinous matter of concern for the civilized society. Friends, when we talk about the torture in police custody, it will be appropriate at this juncture to understand what this custody means. The custody means protective care or guardianship of someone or something. Legitimate dialect explains custody as point where a person loses his or her freedom of movement as deprived of by law implementing bodies. For instance, in the course of carrying prior to booking or through arrest, prosecution, and imprisonment. Predominantly, torture by police officials in custody imposes a direct attack on basic human dignity, principally over one's life and personal liberty. Friends, the custody is something very important, especially when we are talking about the violation of fundamental human rights in custody. If you know, Constitution of India provides power to the constitutional courts to issue writs. And among those writs, one of the very important writ is writ of habeas corpus. Habeas corpus, if it is translated or is explained in English, it means have the corpus. So the court has a power to have the corpus. Why a person, living being, is addressed as a corpus? And the reason behind that is, in the jurisprudence, if a person does not have the liberty of his own to move, he does not have the freedom of movement. And if that freedom is deprived of by law implementing bodies, or even in case of habeas corpus, even by a private person, then he is nothing but a corpus, a body. And therefore, the writ is for having the body before the court. That means a person who does not have the freedom of movement, his presence is sought by the court. That is writ of habeas corpus. Friends, so far as police custody torture is concerned, I gave you the alarming figures which are there in the publication of an NGO and which are not denied by any official body. And those figures are really alarming. Alarming for the reason that if in a civil society, if in a free country like India, where the country is said to be governed by rule of law, if 4 persons per day are losing their life in police custody, it is a very, very serious matter. And that being so, it is very rightly taken note of. Even NHRC is taking note of that. And now there is a circular to the effect that every single custodial death should be reported to NHRC within 24 hours thereof. And the moment it is reported to NHRC or the State Human Rights Commission, the Commission immediately takes up the matter and calls for the report from the police authority as well as the civil authorities so to say as to in what circumstances the death has taken place. That is the importance that India has given to the custodial death matters. This is for the information, and this is also to tell you that human rights commissions are live to every single incident like this, and they are trying to see that the best possible remedial measures could be taken for that particular purpose. Friends, so far as some historical cases of custodial torture are concerned, you will find that the first case which comes to our mind is that of Bhagalpur blinding. Bhagalpur case was the case where the persons were blinded in police custody, and note was taken thereof by none other than the Supreme Court of India. The case is known as Khatri into bracket Roman 2 versus State of Bihar, which is popularly known as Bhagalpur blinding case. It is reported in AIR 1981 Supreme Court, page 928. The Supreme Court was pleased to answer the question in affirmative of granting compensation to the victims who suffered police atrocity by saying that if compensation was not granted to the victims, then Article 21 of the Constitution would be a mere rope of sand. Friends, now it is not permissible. I am saying not permissible because courts do not permit to argue such, put up such argument or take such defense. But earlier, it was a popular defense that if anything like this has happened, the individual police personnel is responsible for that. But then, now the courts have settled this proposition of law, and they have said that the policeman while on duty, acting as a policeman, if overreaches the provisions of law and indulges in such heinous act, the state is responsible for the same, and it is the state who has to compensate the victim. And this was said by the Honorable Supreme Court in the matter of Bhagalpur blinding. And that is why the Supreme Court used the word saying that, again I am repeating, if compensation was not granted to the victims, then Article 21 of the Constitution would be a mere rope of sand. Rope of sand, which will have no effectiveness. But then court never wanted to do that. And that is why Article 21, to give meaning to it, the court said that the compensation must be awarded. At this juncture, I would like to invite your attention to Article 21 of the Constitution of India, which is one of the major milestone in the matter of protection of life and personal liberty. In fact, the title of Article 21 itself says protection of life and personal liberty, and the article reads only 2 lines. No person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. So if a police person or a police personnel acts without the sanction of law, takes law in his own hand, and deprives any person his life or personal liberty, the protection umbrella of Article 21 is available to that person, and that victim is entitled to full protection. And in many cases, when that person is no more to claim the protection, well, his heirs, his family members, his relations are entitled to compensation for the misdeeds which he has suffered while departing from this world. So friends, Article 21 is one of the most important article in this. There is another case of the Honorable the Supreme Court in the matter of Kishore Singh versus State of Rajasthan, wherein the apex court held that the resort to third degree methods by police violates Article 21 of the Constitution, and issued directions to the government to take appropriate action to educate the police officials to respect for human beings. The court further observed that the police rely on fists than on wits, on torture more than the culture, and the police, by doing such acts, cannot control crime. In the observations of the court, nothing is more cowardly and unconsignable than a person in police custody being beaten up. Friends, the difficulty is that our police is still not out of the colonial mindset or the culture in which it was trained right from beginning. It is for the present governments, it is for the present police academies to train them and to change their mindset. The police people have to come out of the mindset that they are there to serve the interest of the people in power. They should have the mindset of that they are there to serve the public at large, the citizens of this country, and for that reason, a special training, a special sensitizing program is required to be there. And if that takes place, I'm sure that will be a different era of police personnel's torturing history. Friends, it is very important that there happens to be judgments after judgments by the court, but then there has to be will to implement. Because it is very rightly said that if police does a wrong, who is going to police the police? So even if the court pronounces a judgment, so far as that particular case is concerned, that is taken care of. So far as general directions are concerned, they come on the paper. But then the question remains that those directions must be carried out by the police from day to day and in day-to-day matters of working of the police. Friends, you must be aware that there are judgments of the Supreme Court and there are directions of the Supreme Court in number of judgments that police cannot say no from registering an FIR. And still, every day, we read in the newspaper, the matters reach to the court, saying that when I approached the police authorities for lodging my FIR, the police people were not ready and willing to take up the FIR. This all happens because we are still not able to bring our police out of that colonial mindset. And until that is done, I'm sure nothing fruitful can be done. I'll also like to refer to one more judgment of the Honorable Apex Court in the matter of Gauri Shankar versus State of UP. In this particular case, 3 police personnel were charged with offences arising out of death of one Ram Dheeraj Tiwari in police custody. The Honorable the Supreme Court of India was pleased to hold that death in police custody must be seriously viewed, otherwise we will take a stride in the directions of police Raj. It is also said by the Honorable Apex Court that this must be curbed with a heavy hand, and the punishment should be such as would deter others from indulging in such behavior. There can be no room for leniency. That is how the Honorable the Supreme Court said very heavily in this particular case. Friends, there are two more judgments which are very important when we are talking about the police custody and torture in police custody. One of the judgment is A.K. Gopalan's case. In the matter of A.K. Gopalan versus Union of India, reported in AIR 1950, Supreme Court, page 27. This is considered to be starting stone of the Honorable Apex Court on this subject matter, wherein the Honorable Apex Court said that personal liberty is not to mean literally only liberty relating to or concerning the person or body of the individual. Further, in Francis Cordill case, also the Supreme Court observed that any act which damages or injures or interferes with the use of any limb or faculty of a person, either permanently or even temporarily, would be within the inhibition of Article 21. So friends, this is very important. And along with this, one has to be careful and mindful of Article 22 of Constitution of India, which says protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. And that is provided that the person arrested under any law has to be informed of the grounds for his arrest, and it also guarantees right to consult to be defended by a legal practitioner of his choice. And it is in Article 22 that is provided that each detainee has to be produced before nearest magistrate within 24 hours of the arrest. Friends, these are the few safeguards which are provided under the Constitution of India for the for avoidance of the torture in police custody. Friends, often it is asked that if you have to choose one particular, only one article out of Constitution of India which is in favor of the citizens, which article will you select? And my answer is Article 32. Because you all are aware that Constitution of India guarantees fundamental rights. But then Article 32 is one of the most important article which makes these fundamental rights meaningful, because it is under the Article 32 of the Constitution of India that a person can take remedy before the Supreme Court for violation of any of his fundamental rights. So friends, these are some very important provisions under article of the Constitution of India, and it will be very important at this juncture to refer to Section 25 of the Evidence Act, which also provides protection against the torture in police custody. Section 25 of the Evidence Act says confession to police officer not to be proved. Normally, the torture in police custody takes place because the police wants something to be confessed by a person. To avoid that, Indian Evidence Act provides Section 25, and Section 25 says that confession to police officer not to be proved. No confession made to a police officer shall be proved as against a person accused of any offense. Not only that, Section 26 of the Indian Evidence Act is also very important, and it says that confession by accused while in custody of police not to be proved against him. So confession to a police and confession while in police custody, both are made impermissible in law so that police does not indulge into that. But then friends, the difficulty is that police still indulges in that, maybe because they have that particular mindset as I was referring to, colonial mindset, and that makes all the difference, all the difficulties for the people at large. Friends, so far as another very important and last of my speech is the judgment of the Honorable Apex Court in the matter of D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal, reported in AIR 1997, Supreme Court, page 610. It is a little longer. I will not like to read all of them, but then you can just read that particular judgment, because if you are really interested in knowing about the protection against the police torture in the torture against in police custody, you will find that D.K. Basu provides very important guidelines there. So friends, with this, I would like to conclude, and I'd like to say once again, thanks to the Himmatnagar Law College and Himmatnagar Kellavadi Mandal for giving me this opportunity of sharing few important thoughts with you at this moment. Human rights is very, very one important facet of life, and I will also like to invite every single law student to my Human Rights Commission for visiting and getting themselves aware and awakened for the human rights of the people at large. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Vande Matram.
Thank you very much for enlightening session. I am sure all of our participation have been benefited from your knowledge and vast experience. Sir, again, I say thanks to you. Now I would like to invite Dr. Jaiprakash Jani for vote of thanks.
Respected and most distinguished keynote speaker in today's webinar, Honorable Mr. Justice Ravi Tripathi sir, respected Principal Dr. Vinal Patel ma'am, our beloved coordinator Dr. Vaidehi Pandya ma'am, my colleague Professor Dr. Paras Joshi, our staff members and all participants, dignitaries and my gurus, my friends and my dear students. It seems to be a great honor to propose a vote of thanks to all who have supported us in making this webinar very huge success on behalf of Law College Himmatnagar. First of all, I would like to give my hearty vote of thanks to our keynote speaker, Honorable Justice Ravi Tripathi sir, for giving us valuable and very interesting information about human rights and torture in police custody with recent cases in today's webinar. Thank you, sir, for your very thought-provoking and interesting address. I would like to thank our distinguished organizer, Dr. Vinal ma'am and Dr. Vaidehi ma'am, for making an excellent welcome and introduction speech and making this seminar very meaningful and interesting and a great success. I am happy to express a vote of thanks to our staff that has made this webinar a great success through their motivation and dedication. I would like to give my vote of thanks to the Himmatnagar Kellavadi Mandal for inspire us to organize such kind of national level programs. We have started this webinar with graceful prayer by our student Komal Patel. Also, A to Z technical support was provided by Chudu Patel. So I thank to them for their great efforts and contribution in making this event success. Finally, I thank principals of other institutions, professors, advocates, other dignitaries, my gurus, my friends who have attended this National Webinar 2021 organized by Law College Himmatnagar, and also my dear students who are present in such great numbers. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Once again, I thank you all for your sincere participation.
Thank you, Dr. Jani, for the vote of thanks. Please do not forget to fill the feedback form in order to collect your certificate of participation. Thank you all. Jai Hind.